there, that's it. That's it. Hey, there it is. Le Chapeau.
Everybody else. And the second one is the best pizza I ever had in my life. Was a pizza your mom made. It was like a deep dish. It had sausages and things like that.
I remember.
And she lost the recipe.
Yes.
She made it one time. We were all there. We all thought it was the best, and she could not ever again remember or find the recipe.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So thank you for losing the best pizza recipe.
The duration of Christina and I's relationship, there were many instigators in this family. And Grandma was head chief number one. In fact, one night at the beach, we were playing cribbage, and as everyone else was kind of sleeping, it was kind of a late night tournament game. And halfway through the game, she put her cards down and said, "Taylor, I would be pleased as pie if you married Christina." And I was still in college, and that was like, wasn't really on my radar, but thanks.
Quit taking pictures.
Stopped it dead there.
So a couple years went by, and I guess she thought that I didn't get the message. Because I was in town, I'd graduated, Christina and I were still together, and we went to breakfast at a famous pancake house. And my dad told me I needed to go sit in the car with the grandma before we had breakfast. And I knew something was wrong. And so she said, "Well, Taylor, I thought maybe the reason you hadn't proposed yet was because you didn't have a ring." And so she gave me her wedding ring to give to Christina, which was both very heartfelt and overwhelming at the same time.
A little pressure.
So it all turned out well, but Grandma, I just want to say thank you for being that instigator, and I think Christina probably appreciated it more than anybody.
She paid her.
She
A
paid
really
her.
difficult summer, and there was someone who would call me when I'd had just randomly, and I had had a bad treatment day and everything, and I would hear that voice on the phone, and it was like, I love to hear that voice.
It's true.
So I thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laurel. As you all know, my mom hasn't been around for a while. And I don't have a big sister, I have a little sister, which is wonderful. But when I need my mommy, she's not there. And I know that I will get every bit of that through the phone if I call you. And it means the world to me to hear your voice and to talk to you on the phone. And just a little story, yesterday was our 25th anniversary, and it was also your birthday. Back those 25 years ago when we were planning our wedding, we wanted to set the date for a cruise that we were going on, and it worked out to be October 16th. And my mom was 19 when she got married, and she had this beautiful, fluffy, flouncy bell hoop skirt thing that she got married in. I wasn't going to do that. I was over 30, and I really am not a hoop skirt kind of girl.
And she weighed like 103 when she got married.
That too. You couldn't get it on my leg, you know. So I was not going to wear that. And I have a beautiful picture of you on your wedding day. And I turned around and I saw that, and I thought, wait a minute. I've seen a box with your name on it. And I found Aunt Dorothy's wedding gown. I had to shorten it about 18 inches. But I was married on your birthday in that gown, and I felt really good about that because you don't have daughters. So we got to kind of share a little bit of the mother-daughter thing. You have the big boys to share that sort of stuff with, but I will feel like it's special that you and I had that kind of mother-daughter thing.
Absolutely.
And every time I'm around you and you're rocking back and forth at the beach, you know, and I can hear you say, "Okay, Lee, that's okay."
Here's 25 years.
Happy anniversary.
Happy
Oh, thank you.
anniversary.
So I have kind of two short stories. So, you know, Tim and I got married kind of young. We were 23, probably didn't know any better. And I remember the first couple years being married in Miami, and I didn't know Dot and Bud very well. So one day Dottie calls me and she goes, "Let's go shopping." I'm like, all right. And so you started this little tradition that every spring you and I would go shopping, and you would buy me one complete outfit, no matter what I wanted. Jewelry, dress, skirt, boots, whatever. And then we go to lunch. I'm like, well, that was nice. And so the next year would roll around, and she's like, we need to do that again. I'm like, okay. So every year we would do that, and it really touched my heart. And we did that for 6 or 7 years until Taylor came along. And then we kind of lost.
Ruined everything.
And ruined everything.
That tradition.
Being a child with Grandma was when we went out to Colorado. Miss Amanda was in on that trip, and Grandma decided it was really a good idea to take the child they called Grace when I was little. You can get what I'm picking on here. That it was a good idea to put me on skis and propel me down a hill at high speeds. And yeah, not necessarily a wise choice if any of you knew me when I was, you know, my whole life. And I remember getting on the hill and learning pizza french fries so much that it made my brain hurt. And the ski instructor was like, well, are you feeling all right? You know, you may have altitude sickness and that's why you keep falling down. I was willing to go with that if it got me out of skiing. So I remember telling him, I was like, oh, it definitely must be the altitude sickness. That's why I'm falling down. I can't do this anymore. So Grandma had to come pick me up because I was over it. And I, of course, milked it the entire day. And I can remember sitting on the couch and they were all watching Jeopardy, and I thought I'd gotten away with something really good that day. Like I finally had an out. And I remember Grandma just leaned over and just looked at me and she said, you know, Emily, not being good at skiing and altitude sickness is not the same thing.
I'll help you out when he's older, but I'm
Right
not a
up front
baby
with it.
person.
She is a
So when I had Emily, my mother, who would come and stay with me because they were all cesareans, my mother had pneumonia. So she couldn't come be at my house. And Dottie called and said, I'm on my way. And I'm like, oh shit. Because not only did we have a new baby, we had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. I thought, this is not gonna work out. Well, she showed up, she stayed a whole week. She didn't faint, she didn't flinch. And when she left my house, I thought she could run her own invasion. She was amazing. You remember that?
Yes.
She was absolutely amazing. She liked little kids a lot more than she ever let them. She did a wonderful
hiding all
job. Do you
that.
remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Thank you, Alicia.
More than stories, I would definitely say my grandmother has shaped my life just as much as my parents. A lot of first times with Grandma. I remember the first time I got delivery Pizza Hut at Grandma's house. I remember learning to swim in her pool. I remember losing all my little toys in her shag carpet.
Green check.
Yes.
That carpet.
That was nasty.
And the glitter.
Her sitting down and teaching me how to play cribbage when no one wanted to teach a 7-year-old to play anything that involved counting. Giving me the Harry Potter series. Taking me to see all of the Lord of the Rings in theaters. So, I love you, Grandma. And a lot of good first terms.
Awesome.
I guess because of the part of the world that we live in, far away from everybody else, I know that you went to the beach every year with your family, and really, other than maybe 2 events, the beach is how I know all of you. And I know that's because Dot invited us, invited Dick and Sue and their family to join them one year.
Well, years ago, Aunt Dorothy and my mom decided they wanted to go to New York City. So they saved all their money and they were gonna go stay at the Barbizon Hotel for Women because it was very cheap. And that hotel, I believe, is still there, but I don't think it's called the Barbizon Hotel for Women. So they saved up their money, they were gonna take the train, they were gonna, slum it in coach with the unwashed masses. And Monica, their mother, my grandmother, decided at the last minute to go with them. Now, of course, Monica stayed at the Plaza while they schlepped it at the Barbizon. But Monica did decide that she would slum it with them and ride with them in coach on the train. So she boarded in her mink coat to board the train, and as they're getting ready to pull out of the station, my grandpa stood outside the train and held up a big sign that said, "Right when you get work." And that was one of my favorite stories of my mom and Aunt Dorothy.
Thank you, Tracy.
I would drive to the next city. And my mom, who is an absolutely wonderful cook, stubbornly refused to leave anything in any of the refrigerators when we were heading out. And so it was our job the last couple of days to just cook the refrigerator down to nothing. And sometimes her improvisation was just rather amazing. Now, of course, Dad's on the road. He doesn't know this is happening. He calls out and everything's fine. Well, I remember one night for dinner in Houston, and in 1970 we were fixing to move to Miami to a house on the beach and all this kind of stuff. And Tim and I get home from school, and my mom's busy working around the kitchen. Oh, I got a great dinner planned for us. And we sit down, and what she places on a platter in the middle of the table, she announces, "This is our dinner tonight." It was bologna with barbecue sauce. Oh. Barbecue bologna, we call it. And Mom just sits there with a straight face like, "Well, eat your dinner." Hey, look at me, this is dinner. This is what's left in the refrigerator.
A little different. I had the opportunity recently, a project that I was doing, part of my work, to interview Mom. It's an application, it's a website called StoryCorps. And if you're not familiar, StoryCorps was started a couple of years ago with the idea of, wouldn't it be neat if we could capture the stories of those around us on tape and be able to upload those to an app, then sooner or later they'll end up in the Library of Congress, so that at any given time we could hear stories. So I interviewed Mom, and I'd like to share.
Cool. Oh.
If this comes on.
It's like some David Bowie.
Technology works. Why don't we set
It
this?
works. Remy showed it to me today.
Let's see if I can get this to work.
It's a disco light.
In doing this interview, there were a number of firsts that I was reminded of. That she was the first person on her side of the family to go to an Ivy League school. She went to Columbia. She was the only person I know of who met 4 different living presidents. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember who they were?
JFK.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not going back that far. The one before him.
Eisenhower?
Oh, well, anyway, JFK was the important one.
Oh.
Because
Democrat.
I shook his hand. He had a reception in the Rose Garden for the League of Women Voters that I was there with. And he went around and shook our hands. And I called home and I said, I'm not gonna wash this hand until I get home. I hope that you enjoyed your meal and your companions. My dinner companions are a strange lot at Park Springs. Ones you might not choose if you had your druthers. They have characteristics that are pretty predictable. For example, the lady next to me, this is in Park Springs now, the lady next to me thinks the napkins are ugly, so she spills on the front of her blouse every day, every night. Across from me is a sweet neighbor who eats so slowly that I'm sure the food cools as it is being lifted. Next to me on the other side is a tall gentleman who invariably orders, please bring me just half an order of whatever. They always bring a full order, full plate, and with much complaining, he cleans the plate. Such are some of the joys of assisted living. So, such a treat to see you all. I love you, and start planning now for my 95th birthday at Chock full of nuts. And thanks to my 2 sons and their wives who planned this wonderful evening. In case you have not heard of Chock full of nuts, that was how I made it through college. 19-cent lunches at Chock full.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you, Mom.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dorothy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
So you would like one of